Aloha, Worm Ohana. Today you're going to get the scoop on worm poop. We're going to talk about how vermicast is created inside the gut of the worm. Now, I know we've looked at the general anatomy of worms from the outside. I'm sure you can all identify the prostomium, which is the little flap of skin that covers the mouth. You can identify the segments in the worm, the clitellum, which is the structure that creates the egg case, right? Okay, you know a few general things about worms. You know there's little setae, little bristles that help the worm crawl along. And that's probably what you know so far. Well, let's take a look at what's inside the worm and talk about how vermicast is created. Here we go. I've got this diagram showing a cross-section of the squirmy wormy. Here you see the prostomium, the little flap of skin. And here's the alimentary canal that goes all the way through. And some other things I'll want to point out. They do have a little rudimentary brain, and the only thing that brain does is help them orient away from light. So they don't do much deep thinking, but they are sure sensitive to light, and that's the brain. They have a nerve cord, so yes, they are sensitive all the way through. No spinal cord, obviously, because they're invertebrates. And they have 5 hearts. Did you know that? Worms have 5 hearts. They're big lovers, as we've discovered. And those contractile muscles squeeze the blood through the worm, the dorsal vein, and all the way through to the ventral vein, and around it goes and around it goes. And their blood is just like ours. Hemoglobin delivers oxygen throughout the worm. Let's look at some of the details of the alimentary canal. So here's where the food enters. They have a muscular pharynx, that means a throat, to suck up whatever they're eating. It goes into an esophagus. That's the little bag that holds food before it goes deeper in. It enters a crop where there's a little bit of grit and a gizzard that grinds the grit a little bit, and then into the intestine. Now, here's the magic of worms. There is a little set of glands underneath the esophagus that squirt into this digestive system a little calcium compound. Now, calcium will lower the pH of the inside of the worm's gut and make it less acid. I guess it increases the pH to make it a little less acid. So it's more neutral inside the worm's gut than it is in the acid environment. Now, our stomachs are extremely high in acid, but in the worm's gut, it's very different. It's much more neutral. This particular pH, or relative acidity, inside the gut of the worm is a paradise for bacteria. So the worm sucks in a little bit of banana peel that has a few bacteria on it that are breaking it down. It comes into the alimentary canal through the different parts. It's squirted with a little calcium compound, and here it's nice and neutral, and it's going, oh my gosh, this is really comfortable, this is really great. And those bacteria on that banana peel have a massive population explosion. Boom! About 1,000 times they increase, eaten on that banana peel in the perfect environment. And as they go through the gut of the worm, some of them die off, and the nutrition that they have within their bodies is released, and the worm absorbs it for its own use. And more bacteria are created and created and created as it goes through the gut of the worm, and the excess is what is excreted out the end of the worm, called vermicast, vermicompost, or worm castings. And that stuff, the vermicast, what is it? It's actually a huge glob of these beneficial bacteria, all held together with a little bit of worm gut slime. And within the bodies of these bacteria that were largely created inside the gut of the worm are all the nutrients from that banana peel in a perfect form to be absorbed by plants. So this is living material. We can't see bacteria, it's submicroscopic, but I'm holding in my hand billions and billions and billions and billions, gazillions of bacteria within living bodies their living bodies are all the nutrients. So when this stuff is put near a plant root, there's an actual relationship between the bacteria and that plant root, and the bacteria, as they live and die near the plant root, will deliver exactly what the plant needs. This is a relationship that is between living organisms, not just chemicals washing through the soil. So Vermicast is the perfect, ideal, and best fertilizer to deliver nutrients to plants. And it all happens in the gut of the worm. This stuff cannot be replicated in any laboratory. It cannot be made by any other creature. This particular process of turning a few bacteria into many bacteria loaded with nutrients can only happen inside the gut of our squirmy wormies. So feed them well. They will create a lot of vermicast for you. And this is the stuff that's best for plant growth and best for soil fertility.